Hey guys, welcome back to Proactive Trainer, the podcast. This is the next episode. Before we begin, as always, I'd like you to smash that subscribe button if you like what you hear today. Definitely follow notifications because I'm going to continue putting out new videos in the future, and you definitely don't want to miss them because there'll be some good things coming up. This week I'm going to take a step back and kind of do things a little bit differently. Usually I kind of talk about like a specific topic or a few different topics that are related. But what I'm going to do today is actually talk about ideas that I've actually come up and created myself over the past few months, and I actually was going to take these ideas and use them to my advantage to make money off of. But instead, I kind of had an epiphany within this past week that a lot of the gurus and people out there who are proclaiming to be some sort of professional, they're all trying to really, find a way into your pockets and make $1 off of you. And I keep seeing this all the time, and it's really getting to the point where I'm kind of getting fed up with it. For instance, I remember when, I don't know if you saw my previous if you listened to my previous podcast that I put out, I had mentioned my whole, debacle with the debt, and I had done research just as an example on like debt relief programs that people came up with, or tutorials on how to get rid of and reduce their debt. And it's kind of like sickening what I was finding. Like, people would be like, "Oh yeah, like I have this great plan," and da da da, and then be like, "But you have to buy it," or you have to subscribe and then become a member for money, when people are literally in debt and cannot even put food on their table. Like, it makes no sense to me, like the audacity of these people and what they're asking of others. And I understand it's like, it's a business, and it's America, we live in a capitalist society, and you can ask for anything you want. But I'm kind of getting fed up with that, and I think that that's complete BS. Like, you shouldn't have to feel threatened by people who are trying to help you, and you shouldn't have to feel like you're being shaken down. I don't want to do that to you guys anymore. I feel like I was, and if you had been visiting my site and had seen me like promote my products or what I'm trying to sell, I'm gonna apologize to you guys for that, honestly, because I am a strong believer that content should be free. It really should. I understand, I need to make money, other people need to make money, but there's a better way, and I feel like this isn't it, and so many people are falling into that trap. So like I said, what I'm going to do today is actually present to you guys 33 ideas to get you started on your journey to productivity. And like I said earlier, I made this list over like the past few months because I had really sat down and thought about how I was going to make money on my own, and some different forms of passive income that I could create that wouldn't cost a lot of money, but that could actually bring in money due to whatever sort of service or app or whatever it is that I had created, using my free time to think up these things. So I actually want to share them with you guys, and the reason is because I want you guys that are really slacking, that are taking the easy way out, that are giving yourself a pass, that are still continuing to procrastinate and not be productive. I'm literally going to give you these free ideas so that you can take them and that you guys can go and literally implement them. This is ideas that you can literally most likely make money off of, that I myself was going to make money off of, but I chose not to because I want you guys to have it. I feel like content like this should be free, and people are not providing enough of it. So I'm just sick and tired of that, and I'm giving it to you guys because you deserve it more than I do. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the list. So, I'm literally, how this is going to work is I'm just going to read off some of my notes of the apps that I've created, and I want you guys to have a pen and paper with you, or any sort of word processing document, or just listen very attentively to some of the services, apps, or other programs that I've created. And I want you guys to take note of them, and I want you guys to also think about how you can implement them, how you would go about not only just like, putting them into practice, but like the things that are involved: building a team, building customer service that would be required for it, finding workers, finding people to fund these projects, just all the odds and ends that go into starting a business, pretty much, and taking action. Because I know a lot of you are probably here because that's exactly what you want to do. So let's get started. Let's just jump right into it, okay? So the first one I have here is called Your Story. It's an app that I thought of, and it really connects people by their stories using keyword algorithms. So pretty much, someone would post up like some sort of like blog post almost within an app, or like a website, and people would be matched to others who also put up other stories similar to their own, so that people can connect with each other. Okay. Number 2, Ask a Peer. This is a app where people would ask questions to strangers in their immediate area, and whoever would be able to answer the question as fast as possible with the most efficiency, the person who posts the question will actually provide reward points, and those reward points can be used for anything that your imagination can think up. Maybe they get entered into a lotto to win a grand prize each week, or anything. Just be creative. That's the whole point of these apps and these ideas. The next one is another app. It's called Sensor, SENSR, and it's an app that actually warns of cars approaching from behind you while you're walking or biking on the road. Again, some of these ideas, I haven't gone out and actually researched them. Some of them might exist, some of them don't. Some of them probably don't. So again, if you guys are serious and you want to be productive, that's a good place to start, okay? The next idea I had was called Projections. It's again another app, and not all of these are apps. I really started this list as apps. I think most of them began as apps, but some of them are services and websites and programs. In this app, you can actually project an image from your camera or flash onto a pad and create a stencil of the image that you have saved on your phone. Again, this is probably more for the technologically savvy, but hey, it's an idea. Roll with it. The next one is called My Share, and in this, it's actually an app that's similar to some of those apps you've seen where you lose weight, and then you stake some money, and if you lose the weight, you actually earn the money that you stake. But in this case, you're actually staking a goal to recycle either per week or month, and you constantly update your total as you go. And it could either be set up where you pay a stake of money that you want to contribute to your total that you could potentially win each week or month. And once you achieve that goal of your recycling goal, you will get paid the full amount of money staked. Okay. Another app that I like to call Escape, EXCAPE, serves as an app to escape the unpleasant sounds and environments you may have, which sometimes we have to coexist within other people who make these horrible environments for us. So it's literally an app that creates some sort of silence inside of your earbuds, and it allows you, no matter where you are, whether it's let's say a noisy receptionist area where you're waiting to go see somebody professional, and people are talking on their cell phones, you're in a busy subway car, and people are just yapping away, and you can't focus on the book you're reading. This app will literally allow you to block out any of the background noise so that you could hear, that you can pay attention to what you're doing. And again, this is more for the technologically savvy. people, but who says because you're not technologically savvy you can't make this work? Find people, go out of your way, research, find what it takes to put it together. If you didn't do it, if you aren't going to do it, I would have. Believe me, I wouldn't have stopped. Again, I'm offering this to you guys because I believe in you and I know that you can be productive. And I'm giving you a head start with this. And think about it like this. I've created businesses, I've created apps, I've created all these things. I didn't have anybody telling me how to do it. I did it myself. Just like, unlike you, you guys had me telling you how to get started. So use it to your advantage. Let's go on to the next one. Apprentice. It's another app where a typical tradesman can actually be provided tools that they would need in like the field while they're working. So for instance, like, are you an electrician? Here's a voltmeter that you can actually read, the electricity inside of a live wire. Or let's say you need someone to kind of watch your back while you're doing a job. You could actually go on the app and there could be some sort of what do you call it? Like not a review board, like a forum or some sort of like pool where people can be hired by you, and they could be like your apprentice where they can watch your back and offer suggestions as you're doing the job. Another website actually I was thinking of was would be called something by the name of Buyout. This is for companies who are like on the verge of bankruptcy. They could actually sign up for this program or for this website, and people who are investors would sign up as well and actually bail out the company from bankruptcy for a stake in their company. There's a huge risk of obviously the investors have a huge risk of losing their money because it's obviously a peer-to-peer lending sort of platform, and these people are on the edge of obviously losing their businesses, but there's a chance that they can come back depending on what the situation is and how much money is being provided and what have you. And there could be a very high and lucrative sort of return on investment that makes it kind of worthwhile for people to get involved with. Another app or service I would like for you guys to really carry out is something I like to call Fortunate. In this, freelancers can video call with parties interested in prognosticating their future, reading their palms. So this is actually, I'm sorry, like that sounded like so canned, but I'm like reading off a list because I have these 33. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But this one was pretty much a fortune teller app or a service where fortune tellers are actually hired to read people's future. And they could actually do palm readings through a video call and other things like that. So I think that's pretty cool. And the app can take a percentage, of course, if you guys are looking for monetary gain, which I'm sure you guys are. Another app I like to call Piggyback, or it's more like a web. I think this would probably be better as a website or a web service. Wealthy investors or lenders, they invest, they find new investors of cryptocurrencies. The lenders will give a percentage of their funds to these newbie investors, and whenever the newbie investors make money on the trade, these investors will actually get their principal back and a percentage of the principal and their principal back. The newbie investors will not have to risk any money at all to get started. They might not make as much, but they really don't have as much risk getting involved. So it's really a win-win for both parties, but again, if the trade fails, the original investor loses money and the newbie investor doesn't make as much. But it's lucrative really for both people because the newbie investor doesn't have the money to start investing. Now they do. The lender may have enough money to front the cash for these newbie investors, and they wind up with they wind up with enough money they wind up, let's say they get a newbie investor who knows what they're doing, and they wind up, making money on it. They get their principal back that they invested, or a portion of it, or rather they get their principal back and then they get a portion of their profits, and then the newbie investor takes the rest of the profit. It could work like that, I guess. Another idea I had is just, I like to call ads on ads, and pretty much it's like an ad within an ad. So you know how like ad companies, they create an ad for somebody and it just says the business's name. Sometimes it might say like powered by this ad company or something like that, or it might have like a little tiny logo. What I was thinking is, why can't the ad company have like a bigger logo inside the business's logo? Or have another company advertise on the ad company's logo. So I thought that was it's just ads on ads on ads pretty much. So I thought that was kind of a interesting topic. The next one is an open network where new and small companies and startups can match with new and marketing firms to boost up their portfolios, but it's only really for new firms. So you're going to have these small, like little companies who are just getting started. They're kind of going to work with other really small ad companies for lower prices, and it's gonna, get more people willing to, I guess, partner up, because it'll be a lower cost in funds. It's not these bigger companies aren't so jaded and don't have as much experience, but they might still do a great job and people still want to hire them, especially because they're not as expensive. Another idea that I had was for an e-commerce store, and what it does is it sells grab bags, or it connects people together who want to buy and sell grab bags, and there might be some sort of like forum attached to it, so people, or like some sort of like message board, or like messaging system. So either the network of sellers, or the company, it's like the e-commerce store itself, or just an individual on the site would have to prove their identity, upload a video of the grab bag content, and have like a raffle for whatever the whoever gets involved in the grab bag, and then whoever wins that's entered into the raffle would actually win it. Okay. An app that I had an idea for, which I think is I really have not seen anybody do this yet, and I think it's an interesting idea. I was kind of tempted to not pass this along, but I said, you know what, like, if I'm gonna go and give you guys content that's gonna help you, I'm gonna give you like my best stuff. I don't care what it takes. It's called Grandfathered, and in this, it's an app, or it could be a website also, where people swap or bid on memberships that have added benefits, but they were like added before like a certain time, meaning that like someone might have had like a certain benefit on a membership website, but then after, like, let's say like a certain month in a year, they took that away, the website took it away, but whoever bought it before then still has it. What people can do is actually like make swaps for other membership benefits from other websites on this platform, or they can trade money for those memberships. It depends, because some people are interested, or it could be like a niche sort of thing. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but like I can't really think of anything right now that's like a great example. I guess like let's say someone's into like baseball cards, and then like in May of 2017 they were grandfathered in to get like a 20, I don't know, like they bought into some sort of membership, and they have it for life now because they had bought at a certain time, and they get 20% off, and then the rest of the people who signed up after that point, after May 2017, never have it again. But maybe someone's really interested in the baseball cards so much, and they want to buy like a case of them, and it costs a lot of money. They can trade either, maybe they could trade baseball cards that they have for the membership, or they could pay money, or what have you. It could be something like that, just as an example. This is off the top of my head. Okay, these next two ideas are very quirky, and they're actually one is a little taboo because people don't like to talk about it. I have another one that's also a little taboo that I'm going to mention shortly, and you guys are probably like, that's kind of weird, but again, I don't see this anywhere, so it's kind of like an untapped market. It's an app to buy or sell coffins, and you know what? Everybody dies, so coffins are expensive, so it might be something that people are willing to actually get involved with. Unfortunately, it's kind of strange, but they might. Another one would be an app to rent dumpsters. I actually live in an area. I live in the suburbs, but I go to work in the cities and inner cities, and I've worked in industrial neighborhoods, and it's actually kind of funny because there's only a certain amount of people who like have dumpster companies, and people need them even to clean out their house, or like sometimes maybe even like, for instance, like a landlord might have a house somewhere and they had tenants and they completely trashed the place and left all their stuff there, and then they left. You know, where's the landlord has to clean it up, and they can't just like leave. You know, they can't just like put it in a bin on the block because it's too much stuff. So you have to buy a dumpster. But they might not have a place. You know, they might not have like a quick go-to to get a dumpster in locally. So an app might be a great thing for that sort of business. Another thing has to do with dumpsters. I know that's kind of strange, but something I noticed, I don't know if you guys ever looked at the side of a dumpster, people put their brand, they'll spray paint their brand on it, or they'll put a little sign of who owns the dumpster. But I was thinking, you know, like a dumpster has so much real estate on it. You can put literally a ton of ads on the side of a dumpster, and people probably look at it like as they're driving by in their cars or walking by on the street, and you probably don't even realize it. Like, it's so crazy. Like, our brains are like subconsciously like observing what's going on around us, and we don't even realize it, and we're like internalizing those things. So imagine if like a bunch of people just rented dumpsters and didn't even need to like put things into them, or maybe they do, and they use them to advertise their businesses on them. Or even someone bought a dumpster and then like rented it out so that, and like place it somewhere, like maybe on a busy street, just so that their ads can be seen. That's another thing that people can do. Like, we live in a time, like, this is why, like, I just thought of that idea. Like, it's just amazing. It's like we live in a time, especially if you're American, even if you're not, like, even if you're listening to me from somewhere else in the world right now, like, we live in a time that's amazing. We really do. Like, there is so much opportunity out there that we can make money. It is obscene. And if you aren't taking advantage of it, if you aren't going out of your way to go and hustle and make money, more importantly, work for you, you're doing things wrong. You're absolutely doing things wrong. Be more productive. This is how we're going to do it. Let's go on to the next one. Another service I had created, or an app rather, is a crowdfunding app to invest in mining operations. So it could be like gold, diamonds, emeralds, whatever, all over the world. It would be some sort of app where you would have to obviously connect with people who own these mining operations. But again, because you have the World Wide Web, that makes things a hell of a lot easier. You can go out and find people who have these mining operations, get in contact with them. It might not be easy, but they might have websites set up where you can actually contact them. And I actually have seen websites for people who want you to invest, but it's extremely difficult for them to like set up a way to do that on their website. It always, like, you have to go call them and do other things usually, I believe. I've looked into it, but I haven't really gone further than that. But I believe this is an untapped market, and I think that people can really make a lot of money off of that. Another one would be an app to hire an entourage to follow you around, which may sound funny, but some people, you know, listen, there's an app where people can, like, hire others to cuddle with them. Just to cuddle, nothing sexual, but, like, people want to just, like, be held. why not have an app where you can have an entourage? Some people would like that, and some people like to be the life of the party. Another website that I had thought of was where people can visit to request a specific topic or course that doesn't currently exist. So it would be a site where like people constantly like put out tutorials or some sort of guide to something, whatever it is, whether it's how to market a YouTube video, how to bake apple pie with with custard in the crust or something. It could be like anything. And people, if there's no such tutorial or guide on that website, people would have some sort of forum or some way to request new tutorials to be released. And what the site would do is it would bring professionals into the site, also on the forum, or maybe just to hire them to create these tutorials for people. This is great because if you have people who are requesting these things, there's a demand for them. So if you bring in a professional who writes the tutorials, then you can take a percentage of it because they need the tutorial, someone's requesting it, and they're willing to pay for it because they need that information. Okay. Again, do I believe in this sort of thing? Not really. I'm trying to stay away from these sort of ideas, but this is America. People want to make money, and that's just how it is. But we all have to make money, and I want to treat you guys as fair as possible, and not have you guys have to exploit you guys so that I could get more money and become rich, or you guys have to do that for yourselves. But it doesn't mean that you can't work with people and make things work. So that's just my little spiel about that. Anyway, on to the next one. We have an app or service to contribute money in actually being a producer of a movie, or to contribute money with others so that you can be a star in a movie. And I think that's pretty cool because I know some people are very like into film, and or sometimes people just like want to be involved in the movie business, but they don't know how to get started, or they don't really want to be like in front of the camera or even be an extra. They just kind of want to like be involved within it passively. And being a producer is a great way, especially if you're an investor and you have money but you don't know really the people or connections. You could create some sort of service where it brings people together so that you can be one of those. Another service that I had, I'm going to mention this one and another one that kind of go together that I created. And this all has to do with people who have like some sort of talent that they want to showcase. So one of them is, I'll start with the second one I was going to mention first because it's kind of more relevant. It would be an app or a service, more than an app, I guess, because this would be more for like street performers as an example. So like, let's say someone's about to put on like a killer show. I know I live in New York, so I go to I pretty much am in New York City every day, and I see people performing on the street all the time. So I've seen people like who are like awesome with they come in with like a bucket and they'll just start drumming on it, and they'll create their own percussions and own it's just amazing like what people can do and like how creative people are with their instruments and what have you. But imagine if someone could literally take that and turn it into a live show, and there's some sort of like global mapping system where people who are in the area can actually go and find it and see it. And they could also broadcast to people who are talent agents, so they can come and find these people and actually sponsor them in some way. So that's kind of what that app does. I don't have a name for it. I just came up with the idea. Another one is a service that matches the talented people with talent agents for a fee. And the talent can showcase their abilities, and agents choose who to open new contracts with. So I guess I kind of put those two together, but you can make them separate apps as well. Another service I had would be more like a website, I guess, it would just be like a service. It would hire artists and hire and like market, I guess, novelists or authors to take their books and turn them into graphic novels. So they would literally take their story, and work with a graphic artist to take their story and actually put it into like a comic book, which would be kind of cool because there's no such thing as that right now, I don't think. Another app or service that brings people together who are trying to buy or sell. This is another taboo one, like I mentioned before, sell grave plots. So again, I know this is kind of strange and odd, but there might be websites where you can like buy and sell grave plots, or you can go on like, there might be more like back end sort of like websites where you could find these things, like I don't know, eBay or Craigslist or I don't know, Backpages or something, and you can like try to set up an ad for your family's grave plots, I guess, if you have some. But imagine if you had an app for that. That would be kind of interesting, I think. People could make money because, we have to bury our family and our people in our lives, so there's a market for it, and it's not cheap, unfortunately. The next one I had is, it's actually like, if you guys know Enterprise, the business, the enterprise business, so like, people buy, sorry, not buy, they rent a cars, right? I thought of an enterprise business, but what about for trucking? Like big freights or like 18-wheelers. So maybe someone needs to rent 18, like they have an 18-wheeler, something happens to it, but they still need to run their shipment. Imagine these commercial, business owners who are like, let's say you have a commercial business owner who's shipping produce from from, I don't know, the East Coast to somewhere in the Midwest, or vice versa. I guess it would probably be vice versa or whatever. And just for argument's sake or example's sake. And all of a sudden something terrible happens to the truck, but everything in the back is safe. Imagine they can just transfer everything to a new truck, a rented truck, they bring it back, and then they get their truck fixed in the meantime so they can still complete their order on time. Because truck drivers need to always like be on time. That's a huge thing. Another app I had, this one I created because I am actually, I don't know if you guys know this or not, I kind of mention this here and there, but I'm a speech therapist by trade, so I'm a allied health professional, and it got me thinking, like, we do therapy where we travel to people's homes. It's called home therapy, and we just do, we work with people, whether it's kids or adults, in their home, in their natural environment, which is kind of cool. But there are some professionals who don't do this, or who don't do this anymore, that I think should be doing this, and there should be an app where people can hire these professionals to come to their house and perform whatever sort of minor sort of treatment that they would need to. A great example would be like a dentist. Like, you could literally have like a patient, let's say they're like paralyzed. It's extremely difficult for them to get into a car, into the office, so that they can get their teeth cleaned. Imagine a dentist could like bring in some sort of like sterile environment into these people's houses, and actually just do a cleaning inside of their house. And I know some people might say, like, oh, what about, how are you going to create a sterile environment? There's ways to do it. Like, there's tents and other things that people can use. And there's also another thing that's kind of cool is, and I don't know if you guys know this, but they created this recently. It's called like a portable x-ray machine. And people can actually take this and drive it around from place to place and just do an x-ray. So if you needed an x-ray of someone's mouth, you could just do it right in someone's house now. It's pretty amazing the time we live in. Another app or service that I created also is one where people actually provide some sort of like inside street knowledge on products or things that are about to be released. So some people might work for a company and have like insider knowledge, like especially in like niche markets like shoes, movies, music, whatever it may be, and the companies or service can pay these individuals after it's verified in some way, and then release that information. This would be great for like marketing, for a marketing standpoint, because people would be flocking to your website beforehand, because you would have the newest information that everybody would want, first off. Two, it's extremely niche related, so and it would be related to just about anything dealing with anything pretty much like that people are interested in, people's interests. So people would definitely be visiting your site a lot. Another thing is a show where this is kind of interesting. I kind of saw not exactly this thing, but I saw kind of like I saw something like this, but it's not exactly what I'm about to say, but it kind of piggybacks off of something that I've seen before, but it's not exactly this idea. So it's a show. It's more of like I guess you'd say a play, where there would be acrobats that are painted per each scene, and they would actually act out the scenery in the backdrop. For instance, there could be like a bunch of like a group of people who are actually creating like a swaying tree. So it's like a moving scenery as a play is going on, which is, you don't see that much at all. So that'd be kind of cool. And then people, obviously, the main actors are acting out the show itself, which I think would be really interesting and different from what we see nowadays. Another app, or rather a service that I had thought of, it would really be, I guess, more like a restaurant, I guess, or some sort of like food service. It would be a food cart that travels around maybe like a city or an area, and it serves like brunch food 24 hours a day. And there could be an app where people just like, just go right to it, and they order their meal and that's it, but it's only brunch food. And I know a lot of people love meeting for brunch, so that could be a big thing. That's a huge niche. Another idea that I had was for a venture capital service where it allows projects to be started by people in third world countries who need funding for these projects to occur. So there's sites like this. I can't remember off the top of my head what the site is called. If someone wants to chime in on the comments about this and tell us what it is, feel free. I always forget what the name is. I've visited this site before. So like, for instance, on the site that I'm thinking of, there's maybe like women who are starting, they like crochet quilts or something like that, or like knit quilts for foreigners, and they sell them to raise money for like people in their village who are extremely poor or can't eat or don't have water, and people fund their projects so they could get the materials to actually do this in the first place. So there could be something like that, but the individuals actually ask for money, and what happens is the people who provide money will get their principal back, and then a portion of the profits, and then the rest of the profits the people who are creating the actual business will keep to provide for their family, and the members of their community. I think this is also smart because it would also help. It would stir up more people to invest because there's more incentive, and that's the thing. Really, also just going back to like, why going back to like the gurus and the professionals and why they are trying to sell you things. It's because it piques your interest. You know what I mean? And people want to get involved with that because they think that they're getting value, and they might be, but it's like the way they go about it is kind of like sickening. Like I said, I'm just tired of it. Sorry to try to dwell on that stuff again and to bring you guys down after this great streak, but let's keep going. We only got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So we got a service or app where we did that one. Never mind. We only got 3 more. All right. So I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I am actually, not so much anymore, but today actually started getting into it again. I'm actually, I make bread. I bake bread on the side as a hobby. I'm really into it. I've been doing it for about 2 or 3 years or so. I've been really working on it, and I wouldn't say every chance I get I do it, but like when I have a lot of free time, I usually just like get back into it, and I try to make new things for the past year, I've been working on like my own sourdough recipe, and it's been coming out really well. I created a sourdough starter. It's a really fun process. It's like almost like a science experiment. And it's yeast that you're keeping alive, so it's really interesting and fun, and it's something that I really love doing. So I created this business. It's a bread distribution business, and how it works is you would have somebody who knows how to make bread, and this could work really for anything. It could be like ready-made recipes where people are cooks. It would be really more for like people who have like cooking experience or bread making experience or dessert making experience or what have you. In my case, this is bread. So I'd create a bread recipe and hire individuals like a chef or baker with experience to make these recipes in their own area, and then they would ship the bread to individuals in their region so it's fresh the same day. And then as a result, for using the site and the recipe, we take a percentage of the profit, and the chef and baker receives the rest of the money. Another one that I came up with the other day, this is the very last one, by the way, is donations for advertising service. So recently I've been really getting into like marketing and learning about how to reach more people over the internet to kind of visit your websites and visit your YouTube videos and visit your Facebook pages and what have you. And I created this idea because I've been trying to, I know this kind of sounds cheesy, but like I've really been reading like a lot of books, and one common theme that I've been reading a lot of books about like people who have become rich, and they always bring up like this same sort of principle, like giving back to others and being altruistic. And this is, I think, a good way to kind of end this podcast, because this is kind of like where this whole thing kind of stems from, and why I came up with this, why I'm doing this list itself. They say, let me give you a quote, and maybe you can understand better like where I'm coming from. So Andrew Carnegie, who you guys may or may not know, depending on if you lived under a rock for the past, I don't know how many years, or you never read about him or learned about him in school. He was, a magnate in American culture. He was probably one of the richest men, and he was a monopolist, right? When he was younger, he said this quote that always just kind of like strikes me and sticks and stays by me, makes me think all the time about like my future and what I want to do with my wealth when I create it, and like what I'm really about. He said, for the first half of my life, I want to spend it making an immense amount of fortune, and for the second half of my life, I want to give it all away. And I think that's a great way to look at things. And you might think, this guy was like so, like, probably one of the richest men who ever lived on the planet Earth. And you might think, like, why would he want to give his wealth away? It's like, it's really easy to think about, because what he means is like, he was so rich that like making money after a point, it didn't mean anything to him. Like, it meant so much more to give back to people, because that's what really mattered. Like what his money could do for other people was so much more important than than him actually like, finding a way to earn it. So, and I've been reading a bunch of books that are all kind of saying the same thing. Like, there's, work, find a way to make the money, but your money is fleeting. It will go away. The government will take taxes from you. You will spend it. So why not give back to others and give more value to them? So in this, just to segue back to our list and the final idea on your journey to productivity, the service I wanted to create was for companies who are like, just starting up, or maybe they've been around for a while. They want to create more of a presence, maybe on the internet or what have you. So they buy ad space as a donation to charities, and in turn, the site creates ethical backlinks and blog posts for the company to improve their internet trafficking and presence. And then what happens is the donations will also appear on charity websites, which would give them more exposure to people in the public. And they could even like be featured in like a like a newsletter, or be featured in a front page post on certain websites or that have to do with donations that people frequent. And it could also raise their internet credence by doing so. They could have testimonials for their contributions, and it would definitely drive more traffic to the site. So not only would people be, building traffic to their site, they'd also be helping people, which is great. So I think that's a pretty awesome sort of venture, and I think that someone should definitely do this. So these are my 33 ideas to get you started on your journey to productivity. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and like I said, what I want you guys to do is really just go out. What I want you guys to do is look at, like I told you in the beginning, to look at your word processor, look at your notepads if you wrote notes on these ideas and took them down, and really think about how you can get started. Create a plan. Think about the steps that it would take to get to, building a team, building the cash flow to fund this, what the necessary steps are to really get this off the ground and to keep it going. Once you have that, I think that's a good enough starting point for you guys to really start embracing productivity, especially with the amount of consideration that you guys have for each of these apps or ideas that I've given you. So if you guys liked this video, which I hope you did, remember, please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to sign up for notifications, because I'm going to be dropping more videos on you guys in the near future. More like this. I'm probably going to be giving away more ideas. Also, leave some comments below if you guys thought that, if you thought some of these ideas are great. Even if you think like, hey, some of these ideas are outdated, or, you need to work on them. Let me know, because I want to make them better. And if you guys want a part 2, let me know, because I'll do that too. I'll create another list that's even better than this first one, that you guys can use to be more productive. Because remember, guys, I'm here for you. I want you guys to succeed. I want to be your mentor to help you guys get through your hard times, to be less to procrastinate less, to be more productive. So whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it. And one last thing, if you liked what you heard, feel free to like this video. Thanks so much, guys. This is Alex, the Proactive Trainer. Please visit my website, www.proactivetrainer.com, and I'll see you next time.